AITA for not wanting to buy a house 3 hours away from my workplace? I don't know how to start this. I, 27F, have been with my fiancé, 28M, for 5 years. We've just recently saved enough for a deposit on a house and he's found this cottage in the middle of nowhere, 2 hours away from where we currently live. The thing is, I already work an hour away. I am a nursery practitioner and I love my workplace. I've been there since I was 20 and I've worked my way up to a room lead position. Living 3 hours away from my job would not be ideal, but my fiancé won't budge on this house. He says it's perfect, within our budget and quirky enough to fit our tastes in home style. I've tried to communicate with him about this issue multiple times, bringing up the fact there's not even any nurseries in that area that are looking for staff, and I don't want to find another job that's a bit further out but start from the bottom again. He says it'll all work out if I just stop overthinking it, and I've been at my current job for so long that it would be nice for me to start fresh. Another issue is that I want children. They've always been a huge deal breaker for me and I don't think it would be such a good idea to live so remotely when it comes to children, as we will have to get them to from school or nursery before and after work every day. The nearest school/nursery is a 30-minute drive away from the house he wants and we both start work fairly early and finish quite late. It will also be an issue of their freedom as they grow up, because I think it would be horrible to have to rely on your parents for transportation all the time and have to skip out on plans if they can't drive you. He really thinks I'm being dramatic about this and I'll just figure it out, so AITA for not wanting to move so far away from my job and basically all civilization? Update. I wasn't expecting to be able to update this fast, but here we are. First off, I want to thank everyone that commented on my last post, and also add some context as I realized my last post may have been lacking some. Fiancé and I have been together 5 years, but I have known him for 12 years, and in all the time I've known him and especially since we got together he's always been sweet, taken my feelings into consideration and hasn't actively ignored my opinion like this. It's always been a 2 yes, 1 no situation in decisions before this. We had a good relationship otherwise, we had date nights once a fortnight, we enjoyed each other's company, had aligning plans for the future and the same ideals for a relationship. He had watched me go through a few quite bad relationships over the years before we got together and did his best to be the opposite of my exes, though he's always been quite pushy when it comes to sexual intimacy, so I guess that's an issue. But other than that, it was great, and we had actually had a lot of talks about what we wanted in a house. We had agreed that we wanted a house or cottage either the same distance away or closer to my work, a bit more remote but still with a town or city easily accessible by public transport and car. I'm not sure why he suddenly switched to wanting a house so far out from everything and everyone we both know. We live in the UK, and a 2-hour drive can have you in basically a whole other world. Anyway, the actual update. I had annual leave from work yesterday, and my now ex-fiancé was having a WFH day, something he's been doing more and more frequently as of late. This is another reason he is so okay with the house he wants being where it is, because he can just switch to full-time work from home. In the morning I sat down with him and tried to bring up the house. I laid out my points from my last post yet again and told him I am under no circumstances leaving my job, I love it and I do not want to search for another. I brought up the countless other houses that fit our criteria that are in our area and closer to my work, some of which we have viewed. We haven't viewed the place he wants yet as we haven't had the time, and I told him I do not want to as I already know it's not what I want. I also asked him if he really thinks it would be okay for me to have a 6-hour round commute every day, especially considering my shift starts at 8 a.m. so I would have to leave by 5 a.m. every morning and be up by around 4 a.m. My shifts typically finish at 5:30 p.m., so I wouldn't even be back home until 8:30 p.m. Would he be okay with doing all the childcare in the future, housework, and just everything that needed to be done because I would not be home for any of it? He didn't seem to take any of it to heart, and still insisted I could find another job, maybe one not even in child care, and that's what finally pushed me over the edge. Child care has been my dream since I was a little girl, and I managed to find an absolute dream of a workplace that I know many child care practitioners would kill to work for. How could I possibly leave that all behind when I've worked so hard for it? He told me he's set on this house, so either I accept it or I leave. I chose leave. I gave his ring back and told him we're done, that he's not being the sweet, considerate man I fell in love with, and I don't know why he can't see my side of things in this. I do not want to live a life with somebody that doesn't consider how I feel in all of this. This completely shocked him and he started begging me to rethink, that we can figure something out, but I refused and went to pack my things. I'm staying with my brother and his wife now, which is nice because they live closer to my workplace, a 30-minute drive instead of an hour, and I get to spend time with my little nieces. I am hurting, but I also feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I do not deserve to not have my opinion valued, and he certainly did not. I guess it's onwards and upwards as they say, but I definitely won't be dating for a long time after this. Update 2. Reposting here BC. I didn't realize I could only post one update on the AITA sub. Hi all. Sorry I've been almost completely MIA for the last few months. Life has been completely hectic, but I wanted to give an update because I saw some people asking for an update. I also saw my post being read on TikTok a few months ago by one of my favorite Reddit story accounts actually, and that was crazy. I truly did not think it would end up anywhere but Reddit. First off, I, 27F, want to share some things about my life and how it has been since I left my ex-fiancé, 28M. Life has been up and down for me. I found a therapist, and I've started to rent a small flat close to my brother's house, still living below my means as I start to save for a house again, building upon my more than half of the savings I took when I left my ex. It was all my money, I had saved most of it. I did not take any of the money that was his. The flat is small, but it's cozy and doesn't have any of the mess my ex always left around. I was offered a position as assistant manager at my workplace, and while the pay rise would have been nice, I decided to turn it down as I just so love working with the children and I do not want to spend most of my time in an office. Being a room lead is fine with me, I adore my job. My workplace is still great and I've made some really good friends with some newer staff members. I often have a couple of them over for drinks or dinner after work, as a little single ladies' club. My absolutely amazing dad died suddenly and tragically in September, far too soon at 65. He was truly the most incredible man, and I'd been leaning on him a lot for support after I left my ex. He left me a sizable sum of money, and while I am still waiting for that to come through, I'm planning to put it all into my house fund and I'm hoping to be a homeowner by the summer of 2026. I also adopted a little tortoiseshell cat to keep me company. Her name is Lily and she's the sweetest, cuddliest thing. I'm slowly getting back into dating, and I actually made the realization that I like women, so I have been dipping my toes into going on dates with some lovely ladies, which has been great. Nothing serious of course, I'm not ready for that yet, but it's nice to have some connection with people and explore my newfound dating pool, see what fits me best and figure out my dating boundaries. Overall, while some times have been tough and heartbreaking, my life has improved. On the ex front, I really did dodge a bullet. My sister has told me countless times that I let a man disrespect me for far too long. He was not the man I thought he was, and upon reflection I realized the first red flag was how pushy he was for sex. I believe one comment on my last update called him a sex fiend. My therapist has helped me to realize that coercion was not consent, so I've been working through that. Since we split, he has apparently been posting on Instagram about being an alpha male and how any woman would be lucky to have him. According to mutual friends, he has been listening to lots of horrible and misogynistic podcasts and spews that rhetoric to absolutely everyone he can, and he's already dating a new girl who is far from appropriately younger than him at 19. Yuck! I will never know the full logic of why he wanted me to move so far from everything I know and love, but I feel that the comments saying he wanted me to quit my job and be a som were correct in their assumptions. He couldn't afford the house he wanted without my part of the savings, so he's stuck in our old flat. I had to see him once more after I left just to get the rest of my things from our old place, and he tried to talk to me, asking if we could fix what we had, but I ignored him and simply took everything I needed before leaving and blocking him for good. He's not worth my time or energy. I think during our relationship, I lost who I really was and forgot that I am a strong and independent woman. I have always been quite feisty and I've always stood up for myself, but somehow with him I lost those parts of me. They're back in full force now and I couldn't be happier with that. I've used my found again spine to fight for what I believe in, and I have been to several marches and protests for Palestine in the last few months, screaming at the top of my lungs, holding banners, and waving flags. I have advocated for children's rights, I have joined clubs and groups, and I have found my voice. Thank you all for your kind words, advice, and encouragement. I don't think I would have left or stayed away if it wasn't for all of you commenting.